Hey guys, it's Mindset Arc podcast and its host Dean. I think every goal starts from a simple mindset shift, and I want you to find what works for you. So that's it for my first intro that I just created, and let's get to the point of this podcast. So, the idea in the title came up to me really often in the last year when I was just starting my 365 project, the first one with photography, when I just started writing for my blog, and now, especially when I'm doing these podcasts every day, again, as a second 365 project. So I was always afraid of repeating myself. I thought it's not a good content if I go over the same thing over and over again. Even if I add some different perspectives to it, even if I have even if I approach it from different positions in life, in different states in life. I always thought that speaking about the same thing is just not useful, at least not fun to watch or listen or whatever. But that is the fear, that is the limiting belief. I thought about it for a lot of time. I had a lot of time to think about it. Like I had my first project when I had to repeat myself when I created some videos, when I created some photos there because sometimes I just didn't have a lot of ideas. So some photos were really similar to each other. Sometimes I just couldn't remember what I already created. It was like 365 photos at the end. Fuck's sake, it's a lot of things to remember. And for a long time I just couldn't. When I started writing for my blog, I've written 50 articles up to this date. And in the first month, I was writing about one article a day. And even then, even after writing 20 of them, I already couldn't remember some of them I written. Because when I'm writing, I'm usually really immersed in it, and later it's a different state of mind and it's harder to remember what I covered and to distinguish something I already covered from some of the ideas I will have in the future. So I ended up repeating myself a couple of times. Now, when starting this project, the first four videos, the first four episodes were about the same thing. Almost. They had like different connotations to it, but it was basically about that it's okay to start. And I covered this same thing in some episodes later. So I ended up repeating myself a lot of times. And, you know, it is a fear that it may be true that in some cases, repeating yourself is the bad thing. It's not a really fun thing to watch someone who just says entirely the same thing from the different points in every video or every second video or really often, right? But I think I was more afraid of not doing a great job at some of the episodes, at some of the things that I wanted to cover. And it is out there. It is in this not really good state. And it will be there. And this topic is already closed. And I cannot talk about this again because I will be repeating myself. It is a strange fear that has nothing similar with reality. How usually on our attention span works, how usually we consume content, how we use all of this stuff, is we don't really pay attention to something that was similar in the episodes, and even if it even if the main purpose of some episode, main idea behind it was similar, was the same, if you do like 5-10 episodes of content on this in the span of a couple of months, it may be even useful for people who want this idea, who want to implement some idea. For example, when you're just starting out, when it's just you need some motivation, you need a lot of examples of people who did exactly the same thing, or you need a lot of something that allows you to do a bad job at something because you do at the start. It may be really useful to have this type of content, to have something similar at different stages, in different episodes, at different states of you're the person creating the content. And for people who are really sensitive to something repeating, something that will be repeated, guess what? The worst thing that could happen in that situation is they just won't watch that. That is so bad. Yeah, I love the quote by Byron Katie, like, the reality is usually kinder than we think it is. We have a lot of fears, which prove to be usually not real. They're not, they're usually not manifested in reality. They're usually there, just there. And it, it's better to just stop and look at them. Like, I veered into some distance, into some generic topic. I want to return to the main message, and I don't want this episode to be really long because, as always, I mismanaged my time and I have to go already. But yeah, it's okay to repeat yourself. It's nothing bad will happen if you do. Think about it as you will take iterations of improving some theme that you want to convey. So you start from maybe not really good understanding of it, or you have some like good cover of it from one side, and then you repeat yourself, you will not be able to do exactly the same cover as you did the first time. It will be something different. It will be some different state of you. Like, the content will be completely different. And for someone who will want to listen to all of the iterations, they won't feel bad about it. It's, for example, you recorded 3 pieces of almost the same content with the same idea, but you recorded it at different times. And people who watch this, I do that all the time with podcasts I'm listening to. They repeat themselves all the time. And it even makes understanding the idea behind it even better when you just see that person telling basically the same thing in at different times, at different states of mind. So it may be even beneficial, and it will be beneficial for you to return to some of your old topics and see how you changed, see if there are some insights there, and just learn over time so you can cover it even better later or from a different perspective. So don't be afraid to repeat yourself, and don't be afraid to cover some topics that you think you can cover better in like a couple of months if you wait for it. Don't wait. If you want to do this now, if you want to talk about this now, if you want to do some piece of content right now, and you think you don't have the skills, fuck it, just do it. Do this thing, and when you will have more experience, you can return to it and have a second iteration on it. and it will be as good. You don't exhaust your topics by talking about them. You can return to them however many times you want to. That's what I want to leave you with today. Yeah, and do the content, put yourself out there in the world. It's fun to do, and have fun in your life.